4, 3, 2, 1.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
A confirmed attack is taking place against the United States. Aliens from an unknown location have been reported in multiple states.
We are controlling transmission.
There is another world that awaits, far beyond what we can see and feel. A place that's anything but ordinary.
What you believe might not be. Step into the zone of the vast unknown. UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, conspiracies and cover-ups. Into the Parabnormal we go with Jeremy Scott.
All right, we've got a special episode with some breaking news that we couldn't save for the next time we would meet again on the radio. So we're dropping it like it's hot, as they say, all across those podcast platforms, with some breaking news regarding a project that we've been discussing for several years here on the show, and that is an extraterrestrial embassy, a place where there could be diplomatic contact with an extraterrestrial race for when eventual disclosure does play out, whenever that day may come. This is a crucial step. It's probably, honestly, one that should have already happened. But here we are. There is a country that has at least agreed in principle, or maybe beyond that, to host this embassy, which is something that we were looking for, a ground to basically build on. And, of course, where it would be receptive, a country that would be receptive to having these first contact, diplomatic conversations with an extraterrestrial species. It does sound wild. And in fact, as we've been having some of these conversations of late, I have reminded the audience that there are these efforts by the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact and also the International Raelian Movement to build an ET embassy. And so it's kind of all coming together now with some news that has been shared that there is a agreement, a memorandum of collaboration to prepare an embassy for extraterrestrials. With us to talk about it is the Vice President of the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, Sylvain Rochon. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's nice to be here, and it's very exciting times.
Yeah, what we've been talking about for a few years now. I think our first real in-depth conversation was in the year 2023, but prior to that, I had briefed the audience that these efforts were taking place, and we've discussed what would need to happen in order for this to take place. It sounds like we're not ready yet to reveal exactly where that is, but just saying that there is an agreement now in place. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the new development. Is we've been in contact, we being like both organizations that are involved here in the Alliance and the International Raelian Movement have been in contact with governments since 2019 with a package sent and proposal and money raised and all that stuff. So it's been 6 years, right, of where discussions have been going on to a certain extent and accelerating over the last couple of years. And we need a government to formally stick their neck out and say, well, we want to do this strange act of establishing an embassy for a civilization that is not of Earth. It's a bit of a strange thing to do, but it's a necessary step for to contact with that formal, official, and safe contact with ETs, safe between each other. And we've talked about this last time. So now for the very first time, we have an actual written agreement. This is a memorandum of understanding of sorts. So it's not a commitment to go ahead and do a build just yet, but it is an agreement to work together towards that has been officially signed with a nation. So that's a big step. The reason why it's such a big news is that this is the bottleneck for this whole project. We have the funds, we have the plans, we have the idea, like the legalities are organized and all understood. That's been going on for a while, but we have to wait for a nation to give land and they have to do that on their own terms. So this is huge.
And so there is an agreement in place that we will proceed with conversations where in the country, where it would be best, how it would be built, and I guess maybe the rules for what contact might look like.
Yeah, like basically the MOU is a starting point for more structured conversations with the host nation. And there's multiple steps that have to occur that already were predetermined, where we will be discussing with them in collaboration with the international rallying movements. They're the ones that have signed the MOU technically with the host nation. The alliance is going to tag along and support. Because whoever signs the agreement is fine. We're all in this together. We're all moving with our network of organizations. And we'll, in the next few discussions, we'll discuss the specific steps to get to a build. The next step, logically, would be to establish what's called a convention for the United Nations. That's to socialize the idea formally, like openly. The nation would be revealed because they would host the convention, discuss an optional protocol that would adjust what legal structures in the Vienna Convention are around diplomatic missions, because all our documents are about diplomatic missions between Earth nations. So now we need to include these terms. So there's what's called a convention that needs to be organized in the open with multiple nations invited and so on. So that's one of the first steps, which is more discussions and agreements. Alongside that, the host nation can start working with us on designating the piece of land specific where extraterritoriality would be given for the embassy, and start thinking about the acquisition of the land, and development, moving in that direction. And when you get access to a land and an agreement on development, then it's more like normal course of function, because then builders and scoping of land, and all that stuff, that's something we all know about. Like that's kind of that's not unusual. But yeah, after the MOU is established of all this, but that's not for me. That's exciting because it's only an MOU. It's not a formal agreement to actually build the embassy just yet, right? It's the first step. What's going to happen from here on, however, is that because of the media and the press releases about the MOU exists, and other nations have been discussing with us and approached, other nations will start communicating with us, asking themselves whether or not they want to be the host nation. It kind of creates a buzz about who's going to get to that formal agreement first. Somebody's going to need to be the first. We have funds only for one embassy, right? So it creates a bit of a buzz and acceleration towards a formal commitment and a public.
So there could be other nations that then come forward and say, here's why we would make a good place to house this.
Right. We've been talking with half a dozen nations over the last couple of years, like in fairly deep conversations. This is the first nation that decided to put it into ink. The others that have shown interests, if they want to be the nation that hosts the first embassy, that's pressure for them. Right, that one decided to sign something, an MOU. Others will probably come forward and put their name in a hat, so to speak, in a more formal way, which is great. Then we have options.
On the surface, speak to how big of a move this is. I mean, the First Nation, are signaling that they are interested in potentially moving forward with such a on the grand scheme of things, a massive deal, because in order for disclosure to take place, unless we expect that the extraterrestrials are just going to land on the White House lawn one day, there would need to be a place to meet that would be acceptable to both sides, that, the extraterrestrials, say, would agree to meet us on our own turf And so perhaps maybe they should be involved in the conversation.
Well, many would argue that they are involved. Like inside the alliance, for example, we have many channelers as volunteers, and they are in constant contact with the ETs. So there are like a sort of communication that's going on. Inside the Aurelian movement, same thing. The leader, Rael, is in contact with ETs as well. He's another contactee, a channeler. There are others outside of the organization that are also, that I hear word that they're talking about the time is near, humanity is being prepared. There's this subtle conversation that's happening between individuals and ETs that seem to occur. Not me, like I'm just an observer of this, of this whole scenario. So I think there's, what we're looking for is a conversation and a meeting that you and I can understand. You know, a place, cameras on, ETs are there, and that's the idea of the embassy. It's the construction of the embassy itself is really an effort in unifying humanity in the idea of meeting ETs in an official way, and in a peaceful way, in a welcoming way. And being able to construct this embassy on extraterritorial land in agreement and after a convention with the UN where all the nations would agree this is the place where, and these are the rules of engagement and diplomacy, that's for us to become comfortable with that official, visceral, visual contact that would occur. And that's always been the case. Like you said, ETs can, land on the White House lawn and say, take me to your leader, as it's been depicted in the past. But that would be extremely disruptive to the world order, because Russia, China, Venezuela, but all the other nations would say, well, why not here? Like, why were they chosen? And there would be conflict between us. So I think at least the prevailing assumption is that ETs want to avoid conflict within humanity by their presence. They're waiting for us to agree with each other and to have a formal place. We all say, this is it, these are the rules. And then that's an agreed upon location, which is the idea of the embassy.
There's a timeline that you've had on your website for some time, and certainly having this development helps with your mission, which is that you wanted to acquire a site, between now and the next 3 years, and you're potentially there, and then following with the planning and implementation process, and then what the goal would be to have an embassy up and operating in some capacity within 5 years or so?
Yeah, that's right. It's the process of building something like this takes a while, not because of the building itself, but just, the land acquisition process, depending on the nation, can be slow, to say the least. But it can be accelerated depending on the nation where you're building. But yeah, the timeline is roughly still correct. I would have to update that because we did have some slippage by a year or two in some of the steps, but that's all right. This news of the MOU, we believe is going to accelerate towards that first step of formally doing the site acquisition. We've been offered a lot of land over the years, but not in the proper way, not land that's given by a sovereign nation. We've been offered land by Aboriginal peoples, by individuals that have land in the Midwest, for example, of the U.S. and so on. But that's not what we're looking for. It needs to be an official location where it would be an official embassy recognized by the United Nations, and therefore it has to be an official sovereign nation that offers the land according to the rules of the Vienna Convention. And that'll come after this MOU is gone public. Like I said, it accelerates the decision making of the political leaders. Because what's happening? Why it's taking so long for them? Because it's a big deal on a historical scale, if you would, but for them it's a big deal on a personal scale. Like it's putting their political asses on the line, so to speak, because it is a strange, unusual project for a lot of people. So sticking their neck out is risky politically, and that's why it's taking a while. Like somebody has to kind of make a decision and move ahead with it. And one did, with the MOU. Now others will feel more comfortable because one stuck out, and they don't want to be number 2 or number 3. Others will be comfortable to go ahead with an MOU, we think, or even better, make a declaration public. So we'll have to watch this space. Personally, I only became aware of the signing of the MOU only 2 days ago, because I was not the one that was participating in the signing. That was my partner Danielle that did this. So he knows which nation signed the MOU. I don't know. I do not, because we keep things very close to the chest here to avoid information for spilling out into the public that's not supposed to, like leaks. But we expect there's going to be more movement before the end of the year.
We'll be back with Sylvain Rochon, VP of the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. Their website, allianceforet.org.
Into the paranormal.
A historic announcement involving the International Raelian Movement and a member nation to build an extraterrestrial embassy. We're talking with Sylvain Rochon tonight, VP of the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, who has been involved, the organization, for at least 6 years now, along with the International Raelian Movement, in getting this extraterrestrial embassy from concept to now where we are, where at least there is some progress in identifying where this would possibly land. How far back does the concept of an ET embassy go, Sylvain?
As far as I know, at least from the perspective of the Raelian movement itself, that project started in 1974. So, and this is from contact between Rael himself with an ET civilization that claimed they created life on Earth, right? And they were there since forever. So basically, we are created in their image, if you would. So that was the concept. And one of the messages, he received 2 missions at the time, and that was in 73, 74. One was, spread the word about ETs being intimately connected with humanity and life on planet Earth, in its creation and interactions in ancient times and so on. And second, start plans to build an ET embassy so that one day, and at the time, the speculation, what he told us was they were looking at 2035-ish, like an embassy would be used for the ETs to land. And even back then, what he was writing about for the project is that the embassy is pretty easy to build, but you have to have all the nations kind of in agreement and so on, just like what we just discussed now. Humanity has to be ready for it, like kind of open for it, have the legal frameworks for it, and that takes a long time. So they started raising funds in 1974 for the project, a long time ago. The idea of an ET embassy in general is not new. It was not born in 1974. The idea of meeting ETs from in the stars in some kind of formal way has existed for a long, long time, way before then. And you can even speculate that in ancient times, the Temple of David may have been an embassy of sorts for ETs. That's where leaders would meet angels. They would meet visitors from the heavens, from the sky, that had high technology. So we could imagine that formal interactions between leadership of humanity and aliens have been going on even in ancient times at certain places. Something you could call in embassies today. But in modern times, like you're looking at the last 50 years or so moving forward.
I mean, what are the implications of, say, if aliens come down and actually do meet with us at the embassy?
I think the implications are going to be profound in multiple sectors. Like philosophically, it's going to refactor what we think of ourselves, I think. So that's going to be generally like the general population are going to have a lot of discussions around the dining room table, so to speak, or on the internet about what does it mean for them and so on and so on. But I think most people are going to be more concerned about national security, at least initially. And like, is there some kind of risk? Like, fear is going to be a player in here. What is the risk of contact? Scientists will be concerned about the risk of contamination, for example, bacterial and viral contamination, because they come from a different place. We don't have immunity to whatever bugs and germs they may be carrying. So is there going to be contamination of that sense, and the other way around as well? People that are concerned more about security and economy are going to be concerned about the impact of that visitation in that nation. Is that nation going to draw all manner of funding, like suck all the funding and investments around this area? And what if there's exchanges of knowledge and information or technology that's going to revolutionize? Like, there's always the dream of receiving information about how to do infinite clean energy. Is that going to be part of the conversation? And how is that going to reshape the economy around the world? And of course, from the security point of view, there's people are going to start thinking, well, are they here completely for benign reasons? Are they going to influence our politics and leadership? Are they going to suddenly be aggressive in some way? All the questions are going to be on the table for everybody. And I think that first couple of years of interactions are going to show us the exact nature of the contact. Presumably, at least my assumption is based on the fact that ETs have been waiting for us patiently and very respectfully for a long time, and knowing what we may do with certain types of information. I think they'll be very careful with contact information, and I don't think it's going to be other than socially disruptive. I don't think the disruption is going to be that massive, just because they won't provide us directly with transformative information that would transform an economy, for example, because that would be too disruptive and maybe destructive to a certain degree. And we know how an advanced civilization providing too much information into a primitive civilization can be destructive from our own history. So I think there's going to be a lot of care.
So first contact taking place at an embassy between humans and extraterrestrial life, you think that we can handle it? We're ready for it.
Yeah, we are, because of the nature of the information. The relay of information, I think, is going to be more historical. Like, who are they? Where did they come from? How do they live? What have they been doing with us? Like kind of the disclosure type information is going to be transformational. But I don't think they're going to come here. It's like, here's clean energy. Here's all these technologies that it's going to revolutionize your own system, because that's going to be dangerous for us. Like, we're going to mess that up. And I think they're smart enough to know this. So there's going to be a lot of ideological shifts and changes, and we can handle that. For the rest, I think it's going to be like a drip mechanism. Like, we're going to gradually learn a few things that are going to be actual practically applied, useful from that, and that's going to be in a safe way.
Have there been discussions with the U.S. That you're aware of for building this embassy?
I cannot say.
Okay. All right.
I'm aware of some nations that with which we have been discussing. I've been partaking in some of the conversations, but most of the conversations were done in private by Daniel and his team, part of the movement and the alliance combined in collaboration.
Fair enough.
So most of them I don't know, and that's on purpose. Right. The agreements we have before even discussing with the nations is the strong confidentiality agreements, and in part of the agreement is that the nation itself is the one that should be revealing the project, and it can't come from us. Therefore, we have a strong lead protection against it. So
you're more serving like as an ambassador,
a promoter, enabler of the whole project. Yeah, we do have talent that can be brought to bear in our volunteer base to do actual work in different stages. So we'll participate in that. But most of our work is really to bring support and awareness of the project, and not so that politicians can take it up, because a lot of the work has to be done by the host nation.
Right.
It has to. It's not something you can do on our own. Otherwise, we would have done it. So there's going to be, depending on the specifics of the arrangement with the host nation, some organizations that are connected with the alliance and the alliance itself will be involved or not to different degrees in the construction. Because remember, a host nation can decide we're doing this, and they can decide to fund this and do this all on their own. Like, they don't need us to move the project forward. The nations have access to funds, and they're the ones that are establishing the land. So they can decide on their own to do anything else. Heck, a First Nation can declare, we're going to do this, and then 10 other nations a month later can do the same declaration and do it on their own funds. That's all good to us. We just need a formal embassies that are declared and that are formally accepted internationally as places of visit for ETs. That's all we're really looking for. And that's all the ETs really need. They need these spaces so that humanity doesn't fight over each other when they do make a visit.
So are there blueprints for maybe what an embassy might look like?
We've developed the blueprints in 2D and 3D. We have a team of professional architects that have been working on this for 15 years. Right. They started off with a movement. Now they're collaborating with the alliance. So we're going to provide all that information if there is desired, or new blueprint plans can be designed. Why not? If there's a need or a want by a nation to do that. The material elements of the project are pretty insignificant. We've built them all. They can be taken and used right away, or they can be redone. It's not a massive amount of money to kick this off. This is about $50 million to build an embassy. And there's more funding that's required for like what is needed around it, like to support an embassy, like maintenance and whatever. But these are not large amounts of money for most nations. So money is not a problem. It's really the willingness to actually do it, to make the declaration and decide to build an embassy for ETs.
So is there anything that the public can do to help in this effort?
Oh, absolutely. You can declare to any of your local politicians that this is something that's really cool, that's you want. You can even use the same pitch we have been using, as in, yes, it's a cool ideological project, but if you build an embassy for ETs, a formal one, imagine how much development investment that's going to go around it, how much tourism investment, like how many people would come to visit. You can build a whole tourism industry, just like Roswell, crop circles in the UK, pyramids of Giza. A lot of people visit Giza pyramids not for the historical context, but because they think they were built by aliens in the past, right? These ideas draw money. So nations like that because you can talk about, hey, job creation, enriching the economy in certain ways. So you can call your representative and talk about all these subjects being a positive reason why you would want to invest a small amount of funds to build an official embassy and have it on a caretaker mode, because officially the embassy belongs to the ET. So, but somebody from here has to take care of it. There's minimum investment. So yeah, talk to your politician, make it known that this is something that is welcomed and that is interesting to you, and that's going to be a benefit for the community.
And this would be for ongoing contact with the extraterrestrial civilization?
Based on conversations I've had with contactees about this, right, and Rael himself and so on, the main point is the first contact. That's the moment in time in history, that first contact. However, it's meant to be a long duration diplomatic mission process. It's not meant to be just a one shot. There is the intention would be for a number of meetings that need to occur in a place that is comfortable for us humans. We're used to embassies, and these are our rules. So the embassy is going to be built, yes, for that very first event, but it's meant also to be a place of visit for years to come. So from a tourism standpoint, if you would, even without visitations or in between visitations, it's a great draw for the economy. We believe that the host nation is going to be the nation that's going to be the center of the whole planet for 1,000 years afterwards. Like it's going to be huge for that nation once a first visit occurs, and even before then, it's going to generate billions of dollars a year in tourism. So it's going to be good for the economy even before the first contact.
All right, so how do folks get involved with your organization? What's the website?
Well, the website is www.alliance4et.org. So just type that in, look for the Alliance 4et.org. And from there, there's a membership page, there's a contact page, there's a bunch of stuff you can check out, and contact us if you want to get involved, if you want to get some information.
Right. And the International Raelian Movement, for more information on their work, etembassy.org, both the organizations working simultaneously to bring this embassy to welcome an extraterrestrial civilization to Earth. And we appreciate your work and you coming on the program.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for helping spreading the word.
Absolutely. Again, alliance4et.org, etembassy.org. And this is going to happen one day, I do believe, and maybe it will facilitate open contact. We had posted the breaking news, and somebody said, is this actually going to happen in our lifetime? Well, as they say, stay tuned, but this is an important first step that must be taken in order to have these diplomatic relations. From the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest, I'm Jeremy Scott. Until next time, friends, good night. And God bless.